Sorry, everyone.
To hear us.
First session of the day. Can everyone use their headphones? Otherwise, you won't be able to hear. If you have any issues, I think you've got to hit the button on the bottom to activate it, and give me a thumbs up if everyone can hear our voice. The soothing, dulcet tones of Nathan Keller.
Hold the button. We'll see you blinking. Hold it till it blinks.
Keep it pressed till it blinks.
So then,
There
any
you go.
issues, just hold it until it blinks, and then you should be fine. Can you hear me? Yeah? Everyone? We got it? Thumbs? Yeah? Good stuff. Let's get started. Okay, everyone. Welcome to Deliver. This is the first of the rapid fire debates today. My name's Nathan Keller. I'm a partner at True Altitude, a venture capital firm based out of London, Dubai, and Sydney. Today we're talking about optimal customer experience, and I'm joined today by Ashwani Nath, Global E-commerce Manager for Geodis, and with Tony Sciarrotta, Executive Director of the Reverse Logistics Association. Did you want to tell us a bit about Geodis?
Sure. So, firstly, we are right up there. We are sponsoring the debate, so you can't miss the logo. We are part of the SNCF group based out of France. And Geodis is one of the divisions which takes place for 2PL and 3PL traditional business logistics. 2PL being the traditional freight forwarding, 3PL being the contract logistics. And a few years ago, we ventured out very bravely into the parcel world. So we are here to talk about that experience. Thank you, Nathan.
And Tony?
Hi, everyone. I'm the token American, Tony Sciarrotta. I'm the Executive Director of the Reverse Logistics Association. And it's a thing. It's a global association. We have retailers and manufacturers who make stuff, sell stuff, and get returns. And then we have the companies like Geodis and many others who provide solutions for the returns. I've been doing this for about 25 years after Philips decided that instead of selling stuff, I would deal with the return stuff. And I did. We did a very good job at Philips, reducing returns dramatically for the company in the US. And here to tell you about some of that and some customer experience stories. That's it.
Excellent. Thanks, guys. Thanks. So we were on stage here 9 months ago now.
Yeah,
I
literally.
can't believe it's been 9 months.
Back,
But at that stage, we were looking at the fact that obviously COVID, we were coming out of COVID. Everyone had to have their pass, their certificate to even walk through the door. We were talking about the massive jump in all the volumes on cross-border, and everything was happening. And on the back of that, all the valuations. There were insane investments into logistics and e-commerce in the last 12 months. And a few of the companies here have benefited from that. I guess it's fair to say about the last 6 weeks, the landscape's changed a little bit.
Oh, yeah, it's changing continuously. Yeah.
So people obviously have a different viewpoint. But I guess one of the key things that stays is the fact that wholesale for retail has always been there. It's going to continue to be there. You're obviously addressing that, but also you're addressing the fact that D2C continues to grow.
Correct.
As well.
Thank you.
Yeah. Did you want to dig a bit further into that?
Yeah, so, technology has been the greatest leveler, and we see that now the way you have to wear your headphones as well. New experience for all of us. So technology has, in a way, taken away a lot of sense out of wholesale, especially when it comes to CPG, FMCG, which has been the mainstay of e-commerce and the biggest demand of e-shoppers. The new technologies are curated, bespoke. What I'm going to tell you is that the new entrepreneurial startup companies in FMCG, CPG, even retail, have been very agile. They've had very little barriers to doing business. SaaS applications enable the digital technology, and they're already competing with the larger retailers and wholesale brands. And this has completely changed the way a retailer or wholesaler needs to today compete in the market. They'll keep losing their sales in the store, footfall, and what they need to do is to reinvent and look at the D2C market completely. I'm sure most of you in this room would agree to those kind of things. So what do the D2C larger retailers or FMCG, CPG companies need to do to reinvent themselves is part of the discussion today.
Definitely, definitely. And Tony, just from the US perspective, obviously retailers are a lot larger there.
Well, it's not just that retail's a lot larger. The last 2 years, we got a steroid shot in e-commerce, and it actually is overwhelming in the States, as are the returns coming back from those e-commerce experiences. Look at us all here. We are happy to be in person and see each other. We are a three-dimensional experience. Shopping has now become a two-dimensional experience, and it's not the same. I mean, I can touch Ashwani, I can tell what his garment feels like, but when I order it online, I can't. So we've changed the world dramatically, and it's going in that direction. And how do we translate that two-dimensional experience into a good 3D experience when you open a box at your door? That's a challenge these days, huge challenge. So,
for sure. And obviously, you're in the warehouse space. You know, that split between wholesale and traditional and the e-commerce aspect. Like, how's Geodis approaching that? Are you seeing that retailers are keeping these together, or there was a trend to try and split out the e-commerce aspects?
Yeah, interesting. So what we are seeing is there are mainly two kind of players. There are many, but let's put it into two buckets. One is people who are, like I said, the new startups, and they're mainly D2C or B2C environment. And these folks and these brands don't really need the traditional contract logistics or 3PL environment. They need something which is very plug and play. They need a provider who's got a network of warehouses close to e-shoppers. They need someone who can move the cargo middle mile between different storage locations. Of course, the last mile. They need order orchestration. They need someone who's already pre-connected to Shopify, Magentos of the world, plus their own ERP, and to Amazon FBM. We can't ignore the channel of sale. So these people want to go omni-channel, but they want to go omni-channel with a provider other than a marketplace. Okay?
Yeah.
And then you have the second bucket where people still have stores. So there's an element of B2B delivery, and of course, the growing demand of B2C. So this gets a bit tricky because in a pure EFC, as we call them, or e-fulfillment center, which are largely robotized, AutoStore, Exotec, Locus, we would bin 100% of the inbound and not keep any pallets except for some replenishment or consumables like packaging material. So in a customer who's both B2B and B2C, we have been very cautious to create environments, because we are traditionally a contract logistics company, that for such retailers and CPG goods companies as well, we can give you both environments in the same location, where we can store your B2B pallets and do a B2B delivery, and at the same time, give you space in the B2C environment where you can bin the cargo and continue your B2C business. So we have to be very agile in managing both these environments.
And is there any retailers left who don't have an e-commerce offering? Like we discussed, you know, Primark during the pandemic struggled because they had zero e-commerce offering.
Yeah.
Is there anyone left, or was that like the last one?
No, I think there are quite a few who are not B2C or D2C or not dabbled in it at all. And you know, Primark is a great example. During COVID months when the stores were closed, they didn't even have a Primark.com to say about, you know, and they were on the verge of financial difficulties. But they pulled out. They did very well. But now that the stores are open, they haven't gone back to D2C either. They still believe in the model they have, and good for them. But I think there's a huge amount of retailers out there in the middle space. And when I say middle space, meaning people who have multiple brands, they're very traditional ERPs, separate ERP per brand, separate web shop per brand, and they're inherently finding it very difficult. So let's look at example. If I have to take someone like, I know you love examples, everyone does. So if you take someone like Colgate-Palmolive or Unilever or Pepsi or Reckitt, any of these people, Colgate will only have probably the toothpaste which is called Colgate. Everything else they produce probably doesn't even carry a Colgate name. You could have a laundress detergent for silk and pashmina. So how do they sell their product? So people like these, and again I'm just taking an example. I wish there's someone from Colgate here who can help me, or Unilever. What we are developing for them is a package of goods worth 35 euros and create a web shop called oralhygiene.com. And that 35 euros will have a bundle of products, or petfood.com or pantryshop.com. Okay? So you don't have to recognize with the brand, you recognize with the product attributes or the bucket or the bundle you want to buy, and then the D2C retailer or CB good company can move very quickly into challenging the
Yeah.
startups.
Definitely, definitely, and I guess that's the challenge. It's like we were talking earlier. You know, some of the other ones that may not have seen it through, like Toys R Us and companies like that. You know, shifting between B2C and direct to consumer, you know, sort of thing it's not easy.
It's quite a jump, and some of what we call it in the United States is omni-channel marketing, right? That's the generic term, that you have to play in all spaces, and you have to figure out how to play in all spaces. And if you like acronyms, I heard a couple of new ones in the last year that I was unfamiliar with. Boris and BOPUS. BOPUS, buy online, pick up in store. Boris, buy online, return in store. Imagine the complexity of that. Imagine the complexity for the retailers who sell in marketplace, but they sell products on marketplace that they don't sell in the store. And then somebody returns it to the store, and they have a nightmare of inventory that gets carried away, which is why they depend on partners to help with the end-to-end processing of this complexity. Strong partners are critical to the success of these stores that are trying to sell direct, or to the brands that are learning they need to sell direct. And of course, that's where a company like Geodis and many, many others play in that space and help these brands figure out a way to get right to you, the consumer, in many, many ways. You can't just do it one way anymore. And that's what Toys R Us did learn very fast, and they're gone. And Sears, let's not forget Sears didn't learn the lesson either. A 120-year-old company that didn't learn how to move fast enough. And Ashwani referred to it, the speed is critical. So you have to find a way to become omni-channel overnight. And that's what they've done with partners.
Yeah, interesting one. So one of our companies in our portfolio is a non-alcoholic spirits brand called Lyres out of Australia. And they do sort of 13 to 20 different non-alcoholic spirits. So at the start of the pandemic, they had zero e-commerce. It was all direct to, basically direct to venue.
Yeah.
And moment they would have fallen over in the first month.
Right.
The CEO was very smart, knocked up e-commerce within a month, and now their e-commerce far exceeds their on trade. Now, that was because they were young and easy to pivot, but someone like Sears to try and pivot their whole strategy, like, it's easy for us to say that, but it's not going to be easy, is it?
No, it's not. And it takes, we were talking earlier, millions of dollars of investment and talent, people to figure out how to do this. We're running out of, we have money. Everyone has, venture capitalists. There's a lot of money available, but there's not a lot of people to figure out how to do this. And that's where the cream rises. And you have opportunities that never existed before that are just phenomenal, but it takes some good talent to bring it to fruition, and bring it to fruition right. Because if you don't do it right, you will drown in the returns, for example, or you'll drown in costs of the logistics and things that again, I cannot stress it enough, that the brands and the retailers have to find the best partners. They can't do it themselves.
Yeah. And you've touched on a good area there, which I'd like to talk about, the circular economy, obviously the returns aspect. It's become very top of mind, sustainability and all those aspects. Like, what are you seeing, obviously, with the return side of things? There's a lot of returns providers here, but it's how do you think that feels?
So return obviously is becoming a major cost to the whole supply chain, and we see a lot of brands and marketplaces simply telling the e-shopper, keep the product with you, we don't want it back, So the criticality here is that there are loads of companies or providers available who give you the front end, where you check out the product or choose the item you want to return or exchange or refund. And they do a very good job. But we found that in the space that what is lacking is a physical touch and feel. You needed someone to also issue the label, pick up the parcel, bring it back to the warehouse, do the quality control check, put it back into inventory, and be ready for the next fulfillment, and do it in a turnaround of 10 to 12 days to facilitate the refund. Otherwise, you lose the e-shopper. You will lose the trust. Today, there's an average of 40 to 48 days in Europe to actually enable a refund or a return journey. So what's critical in the European market, and America's more advanced, and you can talk about it, Tony, is to have someone in returns who can provide you the front end, white label to your brand, the liberty to get your e-shopper to either deliver the parcel to a parcel shop or get it picked up from home, get the physical part picked up and brought back into the warehouse, QC'd, and back to fulfillment. There are not many people who are actually able to do it currently.
Definitely, and obviously the topic today is around optimal customer experience.
Yeah.
Tony, you're with the Reverse Logistics Association. Obviously, this is key to your
Well, this is
your part, isn't it?
This is the anti-capitalism part of the speech, okay? Because I do go around the world talking about how to reduce returns. And I have 3PLs and other partners who say, no, we want the business. We want more business. There's plenty of business. If you like numbers, in the United States, the returns market is now in excess of $1 trillion. It is over $1 trillion. If you measure that by GDP of countries, that puts it somewhere between Switzerland and Ireland as a country. That industry alone is $1 trillion. So think about that. And when we think about the customer experience, how do we make it better? Because now we're talking about building loyalty. We want you as a customer. We want you to be loyal to us. How do we keep your loyalty? We have to deliver on your expectations. That's the number one driver. I'm one of those people that actually got into the research side with a university in the States. We called people like all of you and said, why did you take something back that there was nothing wrong with it? And most of you said, 76% of the people said, because you didn't meet my expectations. Either the delivery wasn't on time, or the box said it does something that it doesn't do, or it was damaged. All of these factors, for you, it's about experience. And to build your loyalty, we have to at least meet your expectations and exceed them, or it's too easy these days to return things, which is what I get to talk about tomorrow on stage. It's the e-commerce hangover. If you make it easy to return stuff, people will. But if you meet their expectations and if you exceed them, I'll give you an example. I ordered some cardboard packaging just for record albums that I sell. I have about 500 of them, so I'm still selling a little vinyl here and there. And I ordered this package, and they put in a 45 record, an RPM, Patsy Cline. And it was like, I didn't expect that. They exceeded my expectations. I love them. I'll order from them forever. That's what the brands have to do. And that's why you need really great partners to do this. I cannot emphasize it enough. No one's creative enough to think of all these things, how to build your loyalty to them. But the right partners and the right marketing and the right delivering on expectations is critical to that customer experience. I mean, I don't know that this is good or not, but it is the way the world has shifted now, and maybe Amazon and others have done it. But you all expect deliveries within 2 days. Nathan referred to the fact, or Ashwani referred to the fact that it takes a long time to get your money back in Europe because of the long transits. That's going to switch gears because in the U.S., the internet companies are now giving you credit as soon as you drop it off. They give you the credit. Why? Because they want you to spend the money again. So it's getting very critical that you have the right kind of partner who can identify, yes, we do have it. At least it weighs what it's supposed to weigh. We think it's what it's supposed to be, and we'll check it for you. So it's a challenge to meet your expectations as a customer, what you want, because your expectations are going up all the time. And that's a challenge, and you need a really strong partner to help you deliver on those expectations.
Can I just add a point?
Yes.
On your circular economy, sorry, I missed out an example earlier. We are working on a solution with a firm in Italy who is into baby strollers. And as you all know, babies grow out very quickly in a year, 18 months, 2 years, and the stroller goes into a garage or goes to a sale or destroyed. This company, now we're getting to pick up these strollers back for them, bring them to the warehouse, they will refurbish them, and then they sell them again, either to the same parents for the second child at a discount on outlet, or maybe to someone else. What do you say, Tony? What's the term you use in America? It's been loved before.
Pre-loved. Certified pre-loved strollers.
And what's the term for BMWs and Audis that you sell?
Oh, certified pre-owned, right.
No? So that's the kind of circular economy you're
It's
reaching.
marketing.
Yeah. Stroller's not a BMW, but it's got a lot of love value, yeah.
You said like the anti-capitalist aspect, but
it is.
I look at it too. The fact that say that stroller costs €1,000 when you buy it, right? Yeah. You're then sell it again for $750, but you've bought it back for $6. The numbers start to add up. You're actually making just as much, if not more money, and you're better for the environment. I don't think it's anti-capitalist.
Well, a little bit. For the first stroller maker, he wants to sell more new strollers and not have them resold. But some companies are getting clever. They're taking it back themselves, the brand, and then they're reselling it in the secondary market. Even Nike is doing this now.
Yeah,
Nike's doing it. Patagonia, many of these other clothing brands, they're taking. Sometimes they call it vintage. By the way, there's also vintage clothing, right? And maybe some of you do your own little marketing on eBay for vintage clothing, but it's all about that experience being correct. And by the way, Ashwani gave a great example of being circular. And if you listen to the keynote speakers this morning, two of them really focused on circularity. It is not about recycling anymore. Recycling is not being circular. It's reusing and designing your products to be reused and having a partner that can help you refurbish them, make them look good, and then help you resell it into that secondary market, which is growing enormously, the secondary market. And that's a partner that you need to have.
Yeah. And Nike's been doing it for years. Obviously, this is probably the only time you don't see me in Jordans. I'm always in Jordans, but the Jordan market, resale value, everything through the roof. So, they've worked it out. And they've worked out how to make money and how to basically set up an environment to be able to resell.
So 20 years ago, when I started this reverse logistics returns journey, Nike gave a presentation about what happens to all the old shoes. Does anyone have an idea what they do with the old shoes? They actually built these massive shredders. And they take the old shoes, they run them through a shredder, and they started donating them at first to schools around the country for track. So there are tracks all over the country in the United States made out of old Nike shoes. That was ingenious. That was like, and now they're selling it and making money because it's a Nike track, right? It's very cool to have in your school's, back 40, the track, the soccer field, the football field, the track field. It's all Nike shoes that are shredded. So it was ingenious. And you're right, Nathan. They've been doing it for a long time, and give them credit for being focused on it. Not always doing it the right way necessarily, but they're trying. And that's what we all have to do is just...
They're in the hall somewhere, huh, Nike? I'm glad.
Are they?
They're hearing you.
Oh, they might be. I certainly am being loud enough. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
That's fine. It's a bit weird. Hopefully this is coming through. Okay. Just looking around, there's a lot of retailers sitting here now. Is anyone doing something similar in their business in terms of like what we just described, in terms of taking products, rebirthing them as new products, or refurbishing, taking them out? No? Yes? A little bit? Have we got the mic?
You had on the mic here.
That didn't go as smoothly as I wanted.
Trying to get the mic on.
Hands up. Yeah, just there. Thanks.
Okay. Well, I didn't expect to talk at all, but I'm working for a company. Do you hear me? Yeah. Okay. I'm working for a company producing candles, diffusers, those kind of products. And as we're an e-commerce based only, customers buy a candle which is smelling Paris, and sometimes they don't like the smell, so they return. And sometimes the candle is damaged and so on. So what we did is guidelines for the warehouse, so that they can classify the product in A, B, C, D category. So A, go back to stock. B, it's the wax, the candle is dirty, so we clean it out with Pampers wipes, and then we put it back in stock. So for candles, C is there's it's a packaging which is damaged because of e-commerce logistics. Then we change the packaging and we put it back in stock, and then D goes to trash. Okay. But yeah.
Yeah, have you seen in terms of the costs? Is there cost savings to your business, or are you doing it? Are you doing it because it's the right thing to do? That's the reason.
Yeah, mainly because of that, because we had a lot of products a lot of products for us. It was 3,000 products which were classified like that. We won a bit of money, but our current warehouse is really not happy about it. So we are changing our warehouse, and we hope that it's going to go better, because our current warehouse was basically telling us that they were not a refurbishment center. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is now 1:25. Please make your way to your next one-to-one
That's an
meeting
experience.
at the
All right.
stand of the
Cool.
relevant store.
So yeah, we're sort of obviously touching through the aspects, but the environmental aspect's only one part of what is ESG and the such. We were talking earlier. You mentioned about the challenges, obviously, for retailers at the moment. You touched on three. One is forecasting, visibility, and ESG. Did you want to dig a bit deeper into those?
Yeah, so it's interesting because all of us need to understand what's the job to be done. And traditionally, and I represent logistics people as well, we've always been trying to oversell ourselves, talking of logistics, how well we do them, what robotized warehouses, last mile. No longer, because logistics have now become just a tool for the job to be done. You're not interested in hearing how good the logistics are. That is something you expect. ESG is probably the deliverable. Or let me take another analogy from a professor in Harvard recently, which I read. He says you got a painting to hang on the wall. You need a drill to make a hole. What's the job to be done? We all said hang the painting on the wall. He said, no, hanging the painting on the wall is a deliverable. We said, okay, the drill, using the drill. He said, no, that's a tool. Making the hole in the wall is a job to be done. So that was a very fresh perspective. So for people in the room and for logistics companies like ours and the brands, what's important is delivering that personalized experience, giving that visibility is the deliverable. It is not the job to be done. Doing good logistics or having a good website are the tools. So we all need to get our heads together, collaborate, and work around three pieces. The visibility, visibility of inventory, visibility of a supply chain, the personalized delivery experience, customer behavior, uh, changing of agility and flexibility of delivery. And most brands were losing this when you were working with marketplaces because the e-shopper then belonged to the marketplace. And now you wanted more CRM control directly. You want to experience the customer behavior and satisfaction, push catalogs to them, and you want a direct relationship. So visibility became key job to be done. Customer portals, dashboards, analytics, what you want. The second very major job is forecasting. You need demand forecasting. You need to tell your logistics player how many pieces of which SKU you need to position in which warehouse in which market close to the final e-shopper. Now, the logistics player needs to massage and machine learn your data of sales and tell you what goods need to be placed where, which means optimization of your raw material, optimization of your production, optimization of your inventory, sales growth, margin growth, and an overall competitive advantage. You have to have forecasting. And we trashed ESG quite a bit. Environment benefits, yes, but you need to go digitalized to get the total benefit of process efficiency, social governance, and the whole bit. It's not just about CO2. You need to look at ESG completely. So really, Nathan, thanks for pointing this out. But the job to be done, in our estimate, is providing you visibility, the forecasting, and leading to ESG benefits.
Yeah, very good. And looking at the forecasting aspect, obviously there was this big push before pandemic for just in time. So everyone took away the warehouse and they were like, don't worry, we're just going to get everything in last minute. We're going to save so much money. Obviously the shipping industry had different plans. A lot's gone awry in the last 12 months. What are you seeing in terms of the impact of moving from just in time? Are people now putting inventory back in and trying to...
I threw out that $1 trillion number about returns. The NRF reported it, National Retail Federation reported 761 billion just in brick and mortar stores, retailers that lost sale. Those are lost sales. Think about it. That's $760 billion worth of product that we sent to your house, and instead of ordering one jacket, you ordered three to see which one would fit, and then you ordered three others in different colors to see which ones would work. They're all in your house. They're not in the warehouse to be sold. So not only did just-in-time fail, but the excessive ordering by consumers destroyed the forecast model and the visibility because it's somewhere between you and the warehouse. And ultimately, coming back from you as a customer, the partner has to make sure that that product can be put back into circulation quickly, as quickly as possible, because demand fluctuates a lot. So that meant that just in time not only was destroyed by lack of goods in the warehouses, it was destroyed by the huge volume of goods that went out the front door and took a while to get back if you didn't have a good partner. So it really messed things up in the United States and elsewhere. The supply chain shortages are everywhere, but nobody sees how much of it was caused by this artificial shortage. You may have heard of Zappos, a famous global shoe seller, and they love telling you, buy 10 pair, keep the 1 pair or 2 pair that you like, send the rest back. I mean, that it's not a sustainable model, is what we should say. It's not a sustainable business model. But it got them big really fast.
I mean, we saw some retailers like Misguided. Obviously,
Good example.
I spoke to them at the start of the pandemic, and their business was booming. They had all this. They were launching everywhere. And then a couple of weeks back, it's done for £20 million. You know, it did cripple, and this type of fast fashion and all that, while it seemed to be going really well, in actual fact it was causing a lot of stresses onto the certainly logistics environment, wasn't it?
No, but to your point, Nathan, and probably some of you read of this recently, B2C is getting very expensive. In the last few weeks, 6 weeks as you mentioned earlier, we feel that the cost of packaging and last mile logistics has gone up as high as somewhere around 46%. Now that's putting a strain on pure B2C retailers. You can't afford it. It's not fair to you. But you got to live with it. And more customers are buying less. Maybe they expect a recession to come or whatever. So you're absolutely right. People like Misguided are having a tough time. How do you balance? Do you go back to the B2B model? Or do you balance the B2B versus B2C? Can you be only in B2C?
They never had the B2B model, so they had nowhere to go.
Yeah. So a 46% increase. No, if you do go to B2U, you go to franchisees or distributors.
Well, they probably do now.
And then this
acquirer,
they can take their pound of flesh, right?
Yeah.
They get their commission.
Yeah.
So this 46% has thrown a spanner in the growth plans of people. It'll bounce back. E-commerce is there to stay. It'll grow. But these are just trends or challenges which all of us have to live day to day. Yeah.
Excellent. Was there anything further, or we'll throw it out to the crowd?
We can throw it out to the crowd. See if there's some hands. Any questions?
Any questions, queries, statements? No? No? Okay. All right.
Just as a comment to things going, my recommendation, if I have to make one, is don't re-engineer wholesale. Don't do that. A lot of companies we come across are trying to re-engineer wholesale or logistics. Don't do that. Please think different. So if you're I'm just taking names, Unilever, set up a e-Unilever department, or e-Reckitt, or e-Pepsi, or whatever. Create a new startup team, employ the right partners who can give you a plug-and-play ecosystem, get your sales going. Don't re-engineer your wholesale. Yep, think different. I think gentleman there has a question.
Yes.
Put on your headphone.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, you got to twist.
No worry. I will wait for it.
I'm working with a lot of tools here. Okay.
Yeah. I'm working for IKEA. I have a question. Do you see a major difference between the parcel industry and the more bulky orders, bulky parcels from a networking perspective, from reverse flow perspective? Because you mentioned about how certain retailers are struggling to become omni-channel, and do you see a major trend between those two different categories, we can say?
So you can't hear that. So, gentleman's from IKEA. So he was just mentioning, do we see any difference, obviously, between the parcel industry and obviously the bulky parcels, and what's happening there, and what sort of trends there are?
I think you
want to take that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think Ashwani starts.
Yeah, it's a big challenge, because honestly, all of us in the e-fulfillment field are genuinely avoiding bulky. I'm being very honest with you, because when you go robotized in warehouses and when you sort of create bins, you need the small guys, yeah? So what we have done is, and I said this more in the starting, I mentioned two environments which were pure B2C and a mix of B2B and B2C. But you fall in the bucket where you are primarily bulky, okay? So what we have done is, I didn't want to talk about the company, we're here more in general, but we have brought on board the omni-channel order management system and integrated it in all our warehouses with all our WMSs and TMSs. So even if there's a customer who comes to us in the traditional 3PL environment, we put them onto the new ecosystem, which includes the OMS, which is directly already synced with marketplaces, with web shops, your own ERP and web shop, and that gives you a beautiful setup to keep doing your B2C bulky from a traditional warehouse. So you don't enjoy the e-fulfillment facilities, you can't, but you still enjoy the beauty of the order management system in the omni-channel environment, despite remaining in a 3PL. But if you like to continue the discussion, I'm just outside. We can meet up and
Well, and also let me add to that. The customer experience is a challenge with bulky. You don't know how it's going to fit in the living room until you get it, or the bedroom. And then what do? You call up and you say, something's wrong with it, I just want to send it back. Nothing wrong with it, but you don't like the way it looks, or your wife doesn't like the way it looks, or your partner doesn't like the way it looks. That's some software that's out there that's interesting, that you can take a picture and of your room, and it places it in your room. It makes it gives you that kind of an experience. I don't know that IKEA is doing that yet, but there's some Wayfair's trying to do that, maybe. So there's that challenge. And then the other nightmare, of course, is the delivery people. and we cannot stress again how important partners are, because the delivery people bump the wall going in, or bump the curb, and then that you've got that whole picture of what happens then. I'll give you a creative example, though. LG, with appliances, has empowered that when a dent or something happens, whatever the reason, let's not worry about the blame, but telling you on the phone, the truck driver calls the agent at LG and says, we have a damage here. They talk to the customer and said, we'll give you a $100 credit if you'll keep it, because they know it will cost them more than $100 to take it back. So in product categories, especially furniture, where the margin is there should be that kind of an empowerment to make that experience even better. It's like, well, there's a little ding here, but it's behind a sofa. It's against the wall, no problem. You give me the credit, I'll keep it. So those are the kind of best practices that we need to learn to develop, so that stuff stays in the home and doesn't come back, because it's only going to get more damaged on the way back, no matter what. No matter how good your partner is, it's never perfect. So there's some interesting new ways to try to do that. They also, on the front end, call you as a homeowner and ask you, please measure your doorway again. Even if you did once, they ask you to measure again, so that when a Geodis truck pulls up, it will go through the door without damage. So that's important tricks to try to develop and put through the whole system.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, the follow-up question.
Yeah.
It's a follow-up question.
Thanks already for the answers. So we have an app, by the way, at IKEA to simulate a bit how it can look like when you buy furniture to your home. So feel free to go to the App Store. Then I have a question, a second one to connect a bit. You are referring a lot to 3PL collaborations. What do you believe there is a track for retailers to do in-house operations?
Yeah, question was, we're referring a lot to 3PL operations, and he's just wondering if there a track for retailers to do 3PL in-house moving forward. So basically, are you referring to like them taking on other retailers and sort of doing as a collaborative effort? Is that what you mean? Or?
It could be, or if you have enough volume to do it by yourself completely, so to own the last mile operations in a way.
Oh, for the delivery?
Yes.
3PL for delivery?
Yes.
Yep. Good question. So like last final mile delivery. So IKEA doing their own deliveries, final mile, obviously, trying to cover the space that obviously the carriers are. Do you think that's feasible, or is it Amazon logistics scenario.
Absolutely. It's a very collaborative situation. So we don't have to do, as 3PL or as providers, not only me, anyone in the hall, don't have to do the total end-to-end. That's the capability, right? We can work with you to give you what piece you want to enable. That's perfectly all right. No worry.
Yeah, cool.
Any other questions?
I
minutes.
think we've got time, all right? We're
3
almost
minutes
up.
left, if there's anything burning.
3 minutes left. Any further questions?
Okay.
Yeah, down here, please. Can't hear.
You hear me now? Yeah. You mentioned some of the large, fast-moving consumer goods multinational companies. Maybe a bit more details. How do Mr. Nath, if I'm right, how he sees their development in this area? Will they go more in direction of fulfilling by themselves every customer or consumer need, or they will be using partners, or they will support other more profitable channels of sales and distribution? So his vision of development from point of view of large companies.
Yeah, for sure. So the gentleman just asked around the large FMCGs, you've made reference to that. What direction do you think they're taking in the future? Are they sort of going to be doing their own fulfillment? Are they going to be looking, say, to third parties, or are they going to be looking at some sort of hybrid there?
So I take it your question's more related to the B2C part, because they do the B2B and wholesale rather well. So I won't name people, but we're in discussion with quite a few of them, and they are exploring at this stage. They're very exploratory. There are some who have actually tried it. Pantryshop.com is a reality. Pepsi tried it, and they pulled back. I don't know why. I know people are talking to some very curated marketplaces in UK, like the Hut Group, as their front end. It's not working out because the commissions are high. So let me put it this way, that they're still in a very exploratory phase, and they don't think they have an answer, but they are talking to suppliers like us, and they are talking to other people. So we don't know where it's going to head. That's why I said, don't re-engineer wholesale, just think different.
Excellent. Cool. I think our time's up.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much. Really appreciate you
Thank you for coming.
coming in. And by all means, Tony's on stage tomorrow, so catch him. Assuming I'm not on at the same time, but if not,
I'm at 1500.
All right.
So
I don't know. I don't know what time I'm. All good. So thanks.
right.
Thank you so
Nathan.
much.
Thank you for
and
listening,
thank you,
everyone.
everyone.
Thank you for coming.
listening.
thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nathan.
Thanks, mate.